So I didn't land in sociology until my junior year. I went into TU totally undecided, no idea what I wanted to do or what I should study. I had this general sense of kind of wanting to help people. And I started to realize that sociology is the study of life and people, and who wouldn't want to study that? That sounds so interesting. The classes that stood out to me most in sociology were inequality, sociology of inequality, and sociology of poverty. Really, that was my niche in sociology, is opening my eyes to the world and starting to see that the world was not the bubble I had grown up in. I got to sit around reading. That's a great thing about, and discussing. That's a great thing about college, right? But then at some point, especially when you're talking about issues in the world, you realize you got to get out there and do something about it. And so I knew that I needed to get out into the trenches and see what, if I was, instead of just reading about poverty, what does poverty actually look like? There's this myth that we all have equal opportunity in our country, and that it's just not true because our schools don't offer equal opportunity. So I wanted to help correct that myth. It's easy to get frustrated when kids don't do their homework. We're thinking, where are their parents? Well, because of my sociology classes, I can think, oh, well, maybe their parents are working a second job, or maybe their parents got deported, or maybe their parents are incarcerated. And even though it can be hard in the moment when you're working with that student to be patient, it helps a little bit. I remember when I was living on campus at TU, and I walked into my roommate's room one day and I said, I'm going to live in North Tulsa someday. And she was just kind of like, what? But I wanted to somehow distance myself a little bit from my privilege and be more immersed in the people that I wanted to work with. Within the next week, I'm actually closing on my first house, and it backs up to the school that I teach at. At the foundation of teaching is relationships. And I think this can be a key way for me to build relationships both with my students and their families and just the community at large. When I graduated from TU, I had this idea that I wanted to help people. And through my lived experience, through my graduate degree, I've kind of transformed that into instead of let me help people, I want to empower people who are at the margins and lift their voices. I'm not sure what sort of opportunities are going to arise once I move into the neighborhood, but the first thing I can do is show up.